All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest episode of Zen in Real Lives. Today, we have with us Jeff. Some of you know Jeff. He hangs out with us on Thursdays for the Empty Gate Zen Center live stream. Sometimes you might see him at practice. You might see him in other various forums. But today, he's here with us, and we're going to pick his brain a little bit and see a little bit more about him. So as many of you know, this series is just talking to people who practice meditation or Zen, asking them how they got into practice, how Zen has helped their lives, or how meditation has helped their lives, things like that. So, Jeff, thank you for doing this, by the way.
Oh, thanks for having me.
First off, before we start, where currently are you living?
I currently live in Coventry, Rhode Island. It's just south of Providence.
Coventry.
Yeah.
Right. And how long have you been practicing meditation?
Well, I've been practicing meditation probably since 2009.
2009.
That's when you and I first met.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of the timeline here because, yeah, that's when we met, and then I guess I moved there later. We get into that more later. So
I had tried to meditate several times before, like on my own. I never really got into it, probably like 10 years beforehand. So by 2009, I think I was ready, and I met you, and so I would say that's when I started.
So you started dabbling though before 2009.
Oh yeah.
And why is that? Like, what got you interested in meditation?
Oh man, I believe it's probably the same reason that everyone gets into it. I didn't understand myself. I always had this question deep inside, like, who am I? What am I? What am I supposed to do with my life? What's the point of all this? And there was, there'd be various situations where that question would literally bubble up into my life. And for whatever reason, when those situations would occur, I would always, Zen Buddhism or Buddhism would appear in my life, and I'd read a little bit about it, or I might try to meditate. I got into martial arts for a little bit, but nothing stuck.
Huh. That's interesting. You said, why Buddhism and Zen? Is it something you were exposed to, or you just intuitively thought, hey, I heard of this, I'm gonna
I think it's specifically because of the question, like, who am I? What is this? And I think literally back in the day, I think I literally went to Google when Google first appeared. And I probably typed that in. Yeah. And then the quantum school of Zen probably was one of the first thing that popped up. Zen Master Sung Sung, although I never met him or anything, I remember he was still alive back then, and his teachings spoke directly to that. So I kind of connected with it from back in the day. But again, it wasn't until 2009 that I was able to actually start practicing.
Right. And also in martial arts too, because I remember too, now that I'm thinking of it, when I took martial arts as a kid, I was like 13 or 14, the teacher was from Korea.
Oh, cool.
It was Taekwondo. So I don't know. I never thought of it, like the connection now. But do you think that had some influence in the meditation or?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember there was one point where I even decided, like, I'm either going to become a martial artist or I'm going to become a great meditator, you know what I mean? Or one or the other. And I think I decided on martial arts first because, I was younger and just seemed like a cooler, easier thing to do. And for whatever reason, the style that I ended up with was very influenced by Buddhism and the Shaolin Temple and a lot of the civil wars that happened in China back in the day. And so there was always a strong influence of Buddhism in this particular style that I had practiced.
Okay, so dabbling around a little bit, martial arts, and then 2009, what happened?
Oh, man. So I was working as an awake overnight counselor for an alternative school. And I just wasn't getting enough sleep, wasn't seeing the sun, so my suffering kind of hit like max payload kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember literally I was on my BlackBerry and I'm like, what is this? Who am I? Typing it in again. And right away, Quantum School of Zen Master Sung Sung's teachings pop right up in the thing. And I'm like, oh, I remember this stuff. Mm-hmm. I probably spent, the night on the website reading as much stuff as I could. And it was either that very night or the very next day, I kind of went on Twitter searching, and you appeared. You were still a monastic then, and you were doing all kinds of Dharma combat stuff on Twitter. And I remember being like, oh, I'm gonna, this is my chance here.
Yeah, I think 2009. I was just moved to Empty Gate Zen Center in Berkeley, and I was trying to help the Zen Center with social media, which I had nothing to do with. And then, yeah, I do remember the Twitter thing and this kind of Dharma combat thing. I remember all of that. So that really rings a bell now. Yep. So how did that? And you were living in Rhode Island at the time?
Yep, I was living in Providence. So yeah, you and I connected. You were doing the live streams through Ustream. So yes. I started practicing with you every Sunday morning.
Yep.
And then maybe after a month, 2, 3 months, I don't know how much time went by, you kind of started nudging me towards the Zen Center.
Right.
And you were like, you should learn how to practice with people and this and that. And so I started going out. You introduced me to Tam and George and that whole crew and Chung Yu. And yeah, I remember being really nervous to go to the Zen Center. And then, after the first couple times I went.
Did you go on the Wednesday night introduction?
Yep.
Or yeah, okay.
Yep. Went to the Wednesday night dinner, went through the whole meditation instruction, just regular beginner's night, just like everyone else.
Yeah. And so I guess that inspired you to start practicing at home, or?
Yeah, I was already once I connected with you, I started a daily practice pretty much right away. You had recorded one of the practice sessions, so I would literally just practice along with one of your recorded sessions every day. So by the time I even got to the Zen Center, I knew the whole morning bell chant by heart. I didn't know any of the other chants, but I could do 108 bows. I could do the morning bell chant and sit for 25, 30 minutes, whatever it was.
Wow. So yeah, we should thank you for being there at that time, because you're the one, because of you, and remember Mac James, there was a few other people who were joining Empty Gate for practice. And that was the first time I started streaming, but the Zen Center started streaming. But that's how I started getting connected to people around the world. And that's eventually created the online Sangha from all of this.
It's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah. I forgot about all that. It's like, I feel like I've known you for so long. Then I thought about, wait, how did we meet again?
Right.
So you started practicing daily. So has anything changed? Like what's your practice look like now? I know got another job.
Yeah. My practice kind of follows the seasons and what's happening in my life. I try to keep the time as consistent as possible. I usually wake up every morning at 5. I do 36 bows in the morning now, and I'll sit for a half hour. The reason I was doing 108 every morning, but I was losing too much weight. I was physically active at work, and you know what I mean? So I was like, I need to balance this somehow. So I'm doing less bows. But I notice if I don't do my bows in the morning, I don't feel right. Like my body's all tight and things like that. Now that's cool. And then I do chanting and sitting in the evenings. During the summer, I kind of take evenings off. My practice space is upstairs and it's too hot up there. So I just it's like my own personal, what's it called? Loose and tight Dharma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kilche and Heije.
Heije, there you go. Thank you. So it's kind of, and I follow that's kind of like the seasons that I've been following pretty consistently for the last 4 or 5 years.
The first time I saw you in person, is it when I moved here, or was it before that? Because when did you start working? So you were the director of the Providence Zen Center?
Yep.
When did you become the director of the Zen Center?
No, I took 5 precepts in 2011, and there was probably like a month after that, maybe.
Right.
Right around when Kilche was wrapping up.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it was 2011.
And did we meet before that, or?
Not in person.
Yeah. Okay. So in person is when I guess I moved back to the Providence Zen Center with Kendra and soon to be Miles at the time.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing.
You might have come for a visit.
Yeah. I feel like I've been there a few times maybe not. I don't know what was going on back then. I did. I remember doing like a retreat in 2010 there for a month. I might have visited for like a Sangha weekend or something, but those are always so busy. Some of you know this. Jeff and I actually worked together. He was the director of the Providence Zen Center, and I was the abbot at the time, which is crazy. I don't know why I took that job at that time.
Good times.
Yeah, right. It was crazy. It was a lot going on, but I think that's another video because it was very interesting. Maybe you can share an experience or some example how meditation or Zen has helped your life.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now, man.
There you go.
I hate getting in front of the camera, and I hate talking about myself.
I do too, by the way, just to let everyone I hate it, but I do it for others.
Just practice has opened me up in general to just being available, showing up more, doing things that I don't want to do per se.
Yes.
Maybe not. How do you say this? You say it really well all the time, so I'll just paraphrase what you say. But it's more about following the situation in front of me, and being okay with that, and finding the joy or the happiness that comes from that, instead of just doing what I want to do. As far as specific examples go, I mean, I think this is a good one right here. Like I'm sitting here talking to you.
Good. Any teaching that stands out that has helped you, like from Zen Master Sung Song or anybody?
It all has. In particular, just do it. Just
do it. And it's pretty much what we're talking about. Just do it, right? Because I think we spend most of our time, most of our energy actually thinking about things. Of course, there's a time to think. We have to plan things. We have to organize things. But we spend so much energy and we usually don't get much done, just because we're thinking about it. Right. So this just do it mine is really putting our energy into, like you already said, what's happening right now? Oh, I'm sitting here talking to you. And really, that's probably the most important thing is if we take care of this moment, then our lives become clear. But if we don't take care of this moment, then our lives are not clear. Anything else you want to say before we go, Jeff?
I got a good story. And actually, I don't. Maybe you can tell the story.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll remind you of it. It's when he was the great suture master. I forget his name off the top of my head. One day, a nun appeared to him and started walking around him in circles and beating the stick. And she said something like, "Oh, I heard you know all of the Buddha's words and this and that, and you can recite all the sutras, this and that." She said, and then she said something like, "I want to hear one true word of your own," or something like that. Can you tell us that story?
I don't know the story.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I heard it maybe 15, 20 years ago.
The one finger guy.
Yeah, I've heard it like 20 years ago.
Before he became a Zen master, he was a suture master.
Gucci, right? Zen master Gucci.
Gucci, thank you.
Yeah. And then
he's like studying his sutras and this and that.
He's studying sutras, all right.
And he's trying to ignore her. Okay. I think one of the things that we're leaving out is that this is extremely rude, not only in normal modern society, but in ancient China, this would be extremely rude because she's a nun.
I also think I think he was like pretty high class at this point, too.
Right? So she just kind of like, if somebody just showed up, started walking around you, and in general, you'd be like, "What are you doing?" So he was kind of confused, and eventually he kind of grabbed her and was like, "What are you doing?" Kind of shook her. Or something like that, and she kind of challenged him. She said, "I want to hear one word of your own." But he was stuck. He couldn't give any sort of speech that was not just the reciting of the sutras or the Buddha's words. And he realized it was kind of like Kyung Ho was in that village with all the sick people. He realized that he knew all the sutras, but it didn't help him when he was actually in a tough situation.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that story is interesting. Yeah, Kyung Ho was in a village where there was cholera, I believe, outbreak. And there was many people sick. And then what is the sign? He saw a sign that said, "If you value your life, please go away. Cholera danger."
Right.
and then he was so scared, like shaking. And even though he studied about life and death and understood about the nature and cause and effect of life and death, he was controlled by life and death. So yeah, that's a very good point. Just shows you, I guess, too, like the sutras are great and the teachings are great and all of these stories are great. Even quotes can be great if they can inspire you to actually practice and investigate life and death inside.
Totally.
So thanks, Jeff, for being here. And those who are watching, if you want to make a comment or ask Jeff a question, put it in the comments below. If you want to be on the series, go ahead and contact me, jason@jasonquinnzen.com, and we will get you recorded, and you can share your life and Dharma with everyone else. So thank you again, Jeff.
Thank you.
I'll see you a couple days.
Awesome.
All right.